Hello everyone, this is Abdul Kader. Welcome to my presentation. Today I am going to present 4 current debates based on an article Current Debates in Global Strategy. In this article, author described some experts' opinion in global strategy arena. These are cultural versus institutional distance, global versus regional geographical diversification, convergence versus divergence in corporate governance, and domestic versus overseas corporate social responsibility. For each debate, author Mike W. Peng tracked the history and highlighted emerging tension. By introducing both sides of the lively and timely debates, this paper provides an innovative way of reviewing the literature and helping to advance the field. It is argued that an underlying theme connecting these 4 debates in the institution-based view of global strategy. What are some of the current debates in global strategy that will keep the field energized and focused in the years to come? Focusing on this question, author Mike W. Peng written this article and collected many scholars' opinion regarding the global strategy. Author Mike W. Peng said in his another article in 2006 and 2007, at the intersection between the strategic management and international business, global strategy has emerged as one of the frontier disciplines within business schools. On the other hand, Sigal Horn said in 2007 that development of global strategy field has passed through a number of bumps and turns, yet has relentlessly progressed. Peng supported this opinion and mentioned the bumpy road has been one rife with debates. In both research and practice, debates help the field forward. Why author Mike W. Peng focused these 4 debates? There are 3 main reasons. First, to review an ample range of global strategy research. It is important to pick debates that are fairly distinct from one another. These 4 debates meet this criterion in that while each is associated with the broadly defined global strategy audience, each one speaks specifically to different group of researchers. Second, Peng attempt to identify debates with varying timelines, for example, cultural versus institutional distance debate, and identifying debates that have not been systematically reviewed. Finally, Peng said, by discussing both sides of the present debate, in reviewing each debate in this way, we can identify the proposed directions for the future research. Lastly, we can readdress and discuss the institution-based view as the underlying theme connecting these 4 diverse debates. Definition of global strategy. Different experts define this term differently. In general, there are 3 views on global strategy. First, Levitt said in his article in 1983, global strategy is one particular form of multinational enterprise that treats countries around the world as a common global marketplace. Another business expert, Bruton, treats global strategy as international strategic management. Obviously, international strategic management is broader than the global strategy as defined by the first view. The third view is actually the author's Mike W. Peng's opinion. He defines global strategy is even broader terms. The strategy of firms around the globe, which is firm theory about how to compete successfully. This definition explicitly incorporates both international and non-international firm strategy, building on the argument that what is international and what is domestic may become increasingly blurred. Institution-based view. For the decades, international business scholars have labored on the issue associated with the environment, such as context, culture, and political risk. It has been suggested that to consolidate this literature and theorize further, all these works associated with the external environment can be labeled an institution-based perspective. North defined in 1990, institutions are the rules of the game. International firms must know and be aware of the formal and informal rules governing those countries they are vested in. An institution-based view suggests 2 competing propositions. First, the formal institutions may appear to be converging as common legislation or governing systems are adopted. However, the informal institutions at work may not actually implement these convergence mechanisms. How do culture and institution differ? Hofstede said in 1980, culture is a cumulative of societal values, beliefs, norms, and behavioral patterns. On the other hand, Zhou and Shenkor opined that institutional distance encompasses cultural differences, as well as additional factors such as regulatory differences, normative pressure, and cognitive identification. Overall, cultural distance has been used to explain a wide range of multinational enterprise strategies and organizational characteristics. For example, cultural distance has been used to explain why joint ventures between different countries are typically shorter lived than those between the firms from the same country. Despite these findings, cultural distance has its critics. First, there are a number of findings inconsistent with the hypothesis that joint ventures between the local firm outperform those between a local firm and a foreign firm. Second, the view exists that cultural distance is just one of the main factors to consider when a firm goes abroad. In addition, while cultural distance is important initially, its importance declines as relationships develop. Third, a meta-analysis based on a 66 empirical studies performed by Tihani and his colleagues in 2005 found a near-zero relationship between cultural distance and three variables, such as entry mode choice, international diversification, and multinational enterprise performance. Finally, these critics generally look beyond the Hofstede dimensions toward an institutional distance. Global versus regional geographic diversification. Recent debates center on an interesting and somewhat surprising finding, first presented by the Rugman and Barwicki. They found that even among the largest Fortune Global of 500 multinational enterprises, few are truly global. In their study, Rugman and Barwicki found that only 9 multinational enterprises to be global and only 25 to be bi-regional. The majority of the remaining multinational enterprises in the Fortune Global of 500 are actually home region. This signaling the misleading of global attribute to these firms. Having established that many regional multinational enterprises are incorrectly labeled global, the empirical evidence for regionalization suggests two important applications. First, much of the international activity of multinational enterprise is conducted at the intra-regional rather than the inter-regional level. Second, many multinational enterprise operations are organized at the regional level as opposed to the global level. Convergence or divergence in corporate governance. A lively debate within the corporate governance literature questions whether corporate governance is converging or diverging globally. Convergence advocates argue that globalization unleashes a survival of the fittest process, by which firms will be forced to adopt globally best practice. Voluntary adaptation of the key international standards come from the inherent threat of the market compliance pressures. Another example convergence advocates often cite is the phenomenon of the cross-listing shares on foreign stock exchanges. According to Have and Young, much of the recent governance code enacted in numerous countries around the world draw largely from the core Anglo-American concepts. This may be attributed to the fact that global investors are willing to pay a premium for a stock in firms that follow Anglo-American style governance procedures. Owing to this trend toward conformity, shareholders' activism and unheard of the phenomenon in many parts of the world. While governance advocates note the similarity of the governance regulations being implemented around the globe, divergence advocates that while it is possible to export from formal US UK style regulations to other countries, it is much more difficult to transplant the informal norms, values, and tradition around the world without changing the underlying structure of concentrated ownership and control. Domestic versus overseas corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility has been a continuous source of the debate among the scholars, practitioners, and policymakers. This debate stems from the two viewpoints of the responsibility of the firm. First, managers should make decisions that maximize the wealth of the firm. Second, Because corporations draw resources from the society, they have a duty to society that goes beyond simplicity maximizing the wealth of the equity holders. According to Mongolis and Walls, while scholars have attempted to understand the relationship between corporations, social performance, and financial performance for over 30 years, we still have no definitive conclusion for that. In conclusion, this paper contributes to the global strategy literature by outlining the four debates that we believe to be frontier issues with which the field will engage in the years to come. At the intersection between strategic management and international business, global strategy does not belong to any one discipline, nor does any of the debates discussed above. The cross-disciplinary aspect and the approaches to these debates provide two insights. First, scholars from different disciplines bring different assumptions. For example, in the corporate governance debate, scholars with the finance background tend to believe strongly in the merit associated with convergence, while scholars with a management background tend to be more skeptical about such convergence.